Really?
You're always doing that delegating there, Chris.
Yeah,
You know.
hints.
All right. So then, in that case, then let's tackle the more controversial subject, I guess. So whether or not Fujifilm needs to go into full frame. So as I was saying before, like Pentax didn't do it, and then it took them a while, and then they got into full frame. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if Pentax had gotten into full frame a lot earlier, maybe they might have been in a better marketing position and overall just like camera position. But I also really feel that Fujifilm is in a great position right now. There have been a lot of people wondering and asking, hey, can you do something full frame? Like, just imagine like a full frame X-Trans sensor. Do you guys think that Fujifilm would be in an even better position if they had full frame? Brett, what are your... I mean, all of us have used Fujifilm cameras and lenses, and, you know, we've all used...
Streaming on one right now.
Yeah, there you go. We've all used the APS-C stuff, and we've all used the medium format stuff. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think they need to do it? Do you think medium format is cheap enough? Do you think their APS-C stuff is good enough? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think honestly, at this point, the full frame market is so oversaturated with options for photographers. I think Fujifilm have done a great thing in cornering the APS-C market. Like if someone was going to go out and buy an APS-C camera and they asked me what to buy, I would probably push them into the Fujifilm realm, just because I think they're so superior compared to even the Sony APS-C cameras. And I think at this point, if they were to go full frame, I truly think they would possibly struggle. I do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Fuji is the three segments that they're in now. They're doing very well. You know, their APS-C stuff, people just, you know, people rave about the X series cameras. Their medium format is great too. You know, also it's significantly more affordable than the competition. And the lenses are, you know, the same tried and true quality that we've come to expect from Fuji. And Instax, I mean, you know, that's basically their moneymaker is Instax. They make more money in that division than both medium format and APS-C combined.
Yeah, if you really...
significantly more so.
Yeah, if you look at like Instax and Fujifilm, I think they're bigger than like Canon and Sony then in that case. If you incorporate Instax into it, like, I mean, if it's just digital, then no. But if
well, just digital, Fuji is, I believe, 4th at the moment. But yeah, it's you know, it all boils down to the whole like, oh, you must have full frame argument. Like, you don't. You know, we've written plenty of articles where, you know, like, you don't need full frame to produce great work. You know, as long as you know what you're doing and you've got a camera, you know, you can produce good work. A camera alone is not going to take your work to the next level. You need to have that skill set first. And they don't, you know, they don't really stand to benefit in any way by jumping into the full frame market. And, you know, like Brett said, it's already super saturated, especially now. You know, if you were talking maybe 2 years ago, possibly. But now even Canon and Nikon are both in the full frame, you know, mirrorless race. So is Panasonic.
So is Leica. So is Sigma.
Yeah. So there's no reason for them to enter a crowded marketplace and just say, "Hey guys, look at us. We've got a full frame camera too." Like,
well, yes. But like, what if they did full frame X-Trans, or what if they revamped the autofocus in their medium format to make it a lot more akin to like Canon and Sony? Like, what do you guys think?
In lieu of releasing a full frame camera, or just?
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the medium format cameras will never be as fast as full frame or APS-C cameras that are on the market. But, you know, and Brett, like, you know, like both of you can attest to this, especially like the GFX 100, the autofocus for a medium format camera, it's probably the fastest one I've used in terms of
absolutely.
You know, And you know, I've shot with Hasselblads, I've shot with Phase One, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
150 megapixel backs. Like, you know, in terms of AF performance, the GFX 100, it's pretty much leading the pack.
Yeah.
So you know, whether or not you're actually going to go out and shoot like sports with it, probably not. Even though I've seen some examples that Fuji's used when they first released the camera, I'm like, it's impressive, of course, but you know, it's really in the realm of like fine art or like commercial photography, right? That's really where that camera sings. So like, why compete when you don't have to? You know, like, just stick to what you're good at. And Fuji's done a great job of doing that. Pentax, though, you know, I think they like, that boat sailed a long time ago, and I think right now they're just biding their time until, you know, I hate to say it, until they go away, because
Are
they have
you
an
looking at
indicator.
Brett's face right now?
Yeah.
I am. I'm like looking back and forth, like watching if Brett's gonna cringe, because I listen. Like, one of my first cameras was a Pentax too. You know, like, used to shoot with a K1000, but it's. I mean, and they're not alone in this. There have been so many companies that could have let the pack and becoming like the full frame manufacturer, and they just completely dropped the ball. Kodak.
The problem with Pentax is they did arrive to the full frame market way too late. We know that with the K1, and now they're still playing catch up, trying to get full frame lenses out for the system.
Yeah.
I mean, they were asking people to.
They just released like crop sensor glass recently, and they said, "Oh, put
Yep.
this on your full frame camera."
Exactly. So, and then the thing is, and then you look at the new 85mm. That's a $2,000 lens for an 85mm.
Yeah, and you're not Canon,
Right.
like, no one is going to buy that lens.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, like, it's not optically better. You know, the images isn't any better than what we're going to get from the competition. And
Wait,
also,
isn't it just the Tamron lens? It's the Tamron 8518, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
I don't know about the 85. I'm not sure if that's a Tamron derivative or not, but I know the 70 to 210 they released recently was a Tamron lens rebranded for Pentax.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, there's barely even, you know, any first party support. So like, you can't expect any working professionals to take your brand seriously, unless you're already so entrenched in the system. Then maybe, but even then, at some point, you have to look at what you're missing out by sticking with the system that's so antiquated, because there's just so much better technology that makes your workflow much easier.
And then the problem for Fujifilm would be is they would walk into the exact same situation. They'd have a million APS-C format lenses on the market, no full frame alternatives really. Mm-hmm. And so then they'd have to wait to build up their full frame lens library as well.
Also, it's not like they make their own sensors. They're, you know.
So that's something I really want to talk about. So with medium format, let's say they went back to the super CCD sensor that they had in like the S5, and they decided to make something full frame, but they decided to work not with Sony, but with Tower Jazz or something like that. Or they decided to somehow or another make something full frame. I'm sorry, no, not full frame. Medium format X-Trans. Like, medium format X-Trans, I think would blow everything else out of the water. I mean, that's just me though.
No, I mean, I think, I'm sure Brett will agree, like, X-Trans sensors produce some of the best images. You know, right out of the camera, I don't have to do much.
That's the one area of segmentation I really don't like about Fujifilm right now. Is you got the X-T200, which uses a Bayer sensor, then you jump up into X-Trans, and then you go to medium format and you jump back over to Bayer again. And there's just a little bit of inconsistency there.
Yeah, and that's another frustrating part too, is sometimes, like, for people like us, you know, we work with so many different cameras. Like, I have like certain workflows and like my own presets that I've made for X-Trans, and you know, oh, like, this is a Fuji file. Let me apply like my Fuji presets to it to, like, you know, like, speed up the workflow. And sometimes it doesn't work because of that issue. just because the sensors are different, so it doesn't produce the same quality of results that I've come to expect. So that's another annoyance, and for whatever reason, they've chosen to not put X-Trans across the board.
Brett, you used to own Fujifilm cameras, didn't you?
Yeah, I had the XT3.
Why'd you sell it?
I never got along with it ergonomically. That was the only reason I sold the XT3. I just hated the way my fingers hung off the bottom of the camera.
Okay.
That was the only reason. Yeah.
But I mean, you were fine with the GFX 100, though, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a monster of a camera.
What about the GFX 50S or the 50R? You ever held those?
Never held the 50S. I did have the 50R when I was doing the review for the 100 to 200, and I loved that camera too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, it's crazy because I know that you love your little Rolly, but I never thought you would actually like a rangefinder type camera.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely love them.
Yeah. Paul, I don't remember. Have you held the 50R? I don't think you have.
I've shot all three of the GFX bodies.
You mostly like the 100 though, right?
That's just the one I've used the most at this point. But I didn't have a problem with any of the three. As someone that shoots a lot of portraits, I do like the GFX 100 because of that grip. Sorry, my seat keeps lowering itself. So yeah, I mean that grip is kind of what like sets it apart, and the whole thing with your pinky not dangling. But the bodies are larger than their APS-C bodies anyway, so it's less of an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I will say though, I agree with what Brett was saying. Where if you're just getting into a system, go Fuji. But sometimes I would recommend getting a 6000 series camera over the Fuji ones. If you're already in the Sony system, it's shared glass between the full frame and the crop sensor bodies. Obviously, you're gonna have to factor in the difference in focal length. But if you're just using it as a B cam or for filming behind the scenes, yeah, it's a great option.
You know what I've always found weird? I don't know about you guys, but I follow a lot of Fujifilm Facebook groups, right? And you go into these groups, and a lot of guys are shooting GFX, all of them across the board, and they're adapting old school Canon L glass to it.
Oh, it's super popular.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because they spent all their money on the camera body, and but some of the glass that they're adapting are more expensive. I've seen people adapt old Carl Zeiss Yanar lenses that are $5,000. So
yeah, but the bodies are getting pretty affordable now, right, Brett?
Yeah, I think you can get the 50R for $3,500 right now.
Yeah, I've seen it. I think wasn't it at $3,000 at one point?
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Well, I've maybe it was a holiday or something.
Yeah. I think it was last November. It dropped down to $4,000. Yeah.
But that's the thing too. It really depends, right? Because if you, for the roughly same amount of money, you can get an A7R4 that has a higher megapixel count. And the lenses are smaller, and
you got phase and contrast AF as well.
Yeah. So for general purpose, it's arguably more suitable. But if you're just gonna shoot portraits with vintage glass, it doesn't really matter what camera you use.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. My thing about the A7R4 though, and we've seen this, there are autofocusing issues and the high ISO issues comparatively to the GFX cameras, at least the 50 megapixel ones.
Yeah, I mean the medium format's always gonna have better high ISO performance.
Not always. You'd be shocked.
For the most part.
I mean, I've seen some really bad stuff from FaZe and Hasselblad. I don't know about you. I mean, their sensors are good, but I mean, I've seen some stuff in full frame outdo it.
True. Also depends on who's shooting too. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But I mean,
okay. I mean, I think we can all agree some of the I'm hesitant to say photographers, but some of the buyers that purchase these cameras have more money than sense. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we think that they don't need to go full frame, but
It doesn't make sense for them. It's because you're now having to manage another division when the resources aren't exactly like abundant. It's not like they've got. I mean, like they've got huge war chests if you're looking at like Instax, but like, what is there any tangible gain for them to go onto full frame? Not really.
well, right. But do you think that the market actually has like more and more interest in sorry, not full frame. I'm sorry. Medium format. Like a lot of people don't really understand the reverse crop
It's a
factor.
small crowd. It's a small crowd. I think it's like the fine art crowd or the crowd that has more money than sense sometimes.
True, but on the other side of that, I also think that with Fujifilm releasing much more affordable medium format cameras, it's piqued the interest of a lot of people. Definitely.
That's for sure, because for a long time, like people weren't even like, it wasn't even a point of consideration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, medium format, oh, that's the price of a car. But now, like, oh, for the price of a well-equipped full frame camera, you can get into a medium format system, a digital one at least. So, it's certainly kind of opened that avenue for people. So,
I'm looking right now on eBay to see like if those cameras are actually holding their value. And I can tell you right now that like X series stuff doesn't really hold its value. But the medium format stuff is actually holding its value. Like
well, they also haven't released as many cameras
Mm-hmm.
medium format.
yeah, but like I mean a GFX 100 you can get it for $8,500, which isn't that bad like considering it's 10,000.
Yeah, 15% off. Yeah, I mean,
It's not holding its value? The X100 series. Like an X100V is $750 now.
Wow, that's come down quick.
Yeah, on eBay.
well, I mean, that market is completely different too. Like the 1-inch sensor market, uh, you know, like it's so crowded because that's a lot of people buy those cameras just they keep it in their bag and they can take pictures of the kids or whatever whenever they want. For the people that actually want something a little bit better than their phones. So, and it's for what, around a grand, 1,500 at most. Usually, you're getting a complete system. You're not just getting a body and then you got to drop another, however much, or lenses.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the 50R right now. The 50R, that's not bad. I mean, I'm seeing it for 3,700, and I'm also seeing it for 2,550.
Ooh, or
For
37 new?
37. 37 is it's probably one of those scammers. It's pre-owned, but
I would not buy a pre-owned on eBay for 37.
No.
yeah, used mint. Well, pre-owned mints is 2,550 for a 50R. I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty reasonable.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, how are the lenses though? Because that's the other equation.
Pick one.
90, the 90 mil.
90 millimeter f2. 90 millimeter f2. Like 949.
Not horrible.
Ooh, down to 675.
Ooh, okay. That's affordable territory for me for a while.
Yeah, so I mean that's my other thing then. I mean, you can find affordable lenses, but why aren't people doing it?
I mean, yeah, I think people just like there's part of that is they're probably just intimidated by meeting format, maybe. It's like it feels like, oh no, not now that like this is something super serious. Like
Brett, what did you say?
Marketing.
Oh.
Yep. I mean, Fujifilm are going to go after that specific crowd that they know are going to buy it. medium format right now isn't the format for just anyone to go into still.
Yeah, it's really first and foremost it's for that fine art crowd,
Mm-hmm.
that fine art landscape, fine art portraiture, studio work, or commercial work. That that's traditionally been the bread and butter for medium format, and honestly, I don't see it changing. Just because then you're gonna have to, if you change your intended audience, you're opening yourself up for direct comparisons to like full frame, for example. And what's the first thing that people are gonna say? Oh, this thing like it's so expensive and it's so slow, like compared to like what I could get. And while there's some merit to that, people that generally say that also don't understand what medium format's for.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lose-lose situation for them to try to target a market outside of what medium format it's already kind of carved out for themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, Leica is in some ways the same thing. I mean, they try not to swim with sharks, and yeah,
Also, they don't need to. Like, they have the name, they have the cachet. People go to Leica, like they're in a position, they're in a very fortunate position where they don't have to hunt for customers. Customers
Mm-hmm.
hunt for them, you
mm-hmm.
know? Like, they're very smart in that way where they're doing, they're targeting that luxury route.
Yeah,
Like, sure, they're, luxury companies advertise, but their name's already out there. All you have to say, oh, I've got a Rolex, I've got Omega, I've got a Tag Heuer. Like, people already know what it is.
why you gotta
So
talk
there's
watches to me right now, man? I'm poor. Why?
I didn't say Patek Philippe.
Oh, jeez.
No, but like it's there. Like, there's always going to be an audience built in for that segment, and it doesn't make sense for them to try to like almost. I don't want like quote unquote demean their brand. If you kind of get my meaning, like, or to just
They don't have to splinter. No, I get
yeah,
it.
like there's no reason for them to commodify their products just to gain a tiny bit more market share.
Yeah,
Because
that's fair.
ultimately, in the long run, that's only going to hurt them.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap up because we spent basically a half hour on that.
Oh.
Let's move on to the next segment.